Happy Saturday, everybody. It looks like we have just a very few number of people here this morning. Oh, yeah, people are streaming in now. But thank you for joining us. I'm here, and we have Jetta. Jetta, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's been a while.
So, yeah, it has. So hopefully we will change that. Now that summer is gone, it is certainly fall up here in Canada. I think we almost have snow coming next week, maybe. But I have a little bit more time that I can focus on things. But it has been a busy period of time, and you're gonna kind of notice that I'm gonna focus on some other things now that as Bill says, crypto sucks right now, and so let's focus on something else. And so the videos that I'm going to be putting out, I have actually two of them that are kind of half done, but I'm waiting for some other things because I don't want to rush them out. I know the stuff that I'm going to be focusing on is non-crypto related, but it has everything to do with crypto because it keeps you private, it keeps you secure, hopefully a little bit anonymous, but it's really hard to do that on the internet. But it is best practices for keeping yourself safe. We had one member who had a SIM swap attack. It happened at 12:14 a.m. So this person was fast asleep. Within an hour, they had like a lot of things compromised, including the account over at Caleb and Brown. Like they were going to send stuff out because they had their phone number, they had texting back and forth with their broker, and so it's a serious issue that hopefully we'll talk a little bit about today. That I don't have a you do this and you're for sure safe, because it really doesn't necessarily depend on us doing the best that we can. It depends on our our cell phone provider to keep their end of the bargain up, which is don't change things unless you know it's really me. And so, we'll kind of go through some of this, but someone sent me this, and by 2040, maybe Pulse Chain will be out. I don't know, but he keeps pushing it and pushing it. I've lost track. I mean, I don't care at this point because I think he's let so many people down that the momentum is kind of fading. And what do you do? So let's go into a little bit about what a SIM swap attack is. I know we've talked about it. We have a variety of ranges of knowledge here. And that is one reason why I don't get too far in the weeds with some of the tech stuff, because it's going to put everybody to sleep. And the next set of videos that I'm going to be working on are not airdrops or nothing like that, but it's going to require you to spend some money to keep yourself secure. Hopefully not a lot of money, but if you think just skating by is going to be okay, ask some people who have had their identity hacked. And you know what? In a show of hands, or if you can put it into the questions, has anybody had their identity or SIM swap compromised that's on the call or on the show this morning? I have never. I've had family members that have had it. I try to do my best, and that's all I can do. Yeah, no one is saying they have, so that's a good thing. But one of the things
Well,
that
George,
oh yeah,
no,
you chime in.
yeah, I was about to say, I don't see where to raise my hand on this thing. If it was a Zoom meeting, I could. So maybe there are people who have and are trying to
Yeah, you know
feverishly
what?
find
Maybe
how
just
to.
type in yes on the ask a question kind of thing. And you've
Yeah.
been
So,
hacked.
oh yeah, I have, and for people who have heard this before, yeah, you can go get some coffee. But for those who haven't, and I'll try to make this as quick and succinct as possible. A couple of years ago, this was, I think, the weekend before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving weekend, middle of the night, somebody stole hijacked, transferred my Comcast account to their own bogus account. And it was rather interesting because in the morning my email wouldn't work on my phone. So I put in the password and it still wouldn't work. Put in the password, still wouldn't work. So I go check the computer, and because I have a home network and IPS service through Comcast, um, there was no. It was a continuous, what they call durable connection um, to the Comcast servers. So I was looking and saw that I'd gotten a notice that the primary account holder has changed such and such, or something, some message like that. So long story short, somebody got in, moved the primary account, and I had other family members on the account, but the primary account got moved, or the password got changed or got moved. And I said, there goes my daughter again. She messed up again because she would change her password like every weekend. And so I just, kind of blamed it on her. Then I went into work. So it was either Friday after Thanksgiving or the weekend before something. And I'm starting to get these messages. My Verizon account password's been changed and stuff. And then all of a sudden, it dawned on me that something nefarious was going on. So what I discovered is that first somebody hacked and actually transferred the Comcast account, and that's going to be important in a minute. Then they attempted to, well, they did. They attempted to log into my Verizon account, Verizon wireless account, and they went into, forgot password and changed the password on it. And they also did, and the only other accounts that did that too was my Coinbase account, which led me to believe some hackers were working off of a shopping list of people who had Coinbase and perhaps Comcast accounts and Verizon Wireless. These are all very popular service providers. And so I was able to actually get back into my Verizon Wireless account and notice there was a message there that my phone number had been disabled, had not been transferred yet, but had been disabled. And usually the first step of transferring your phone number to a new phone, or the process of doing that, will disable it off the old phone and assign it to the SIM of the new phone. So this was, I immediately reconnected. So I blocked that. I mean, it was the timing was perfect, and I was able to block the actual transfer of my phone number to a new device, a new SIM. And then I proceeded to, and this is back a couple of years ago, so it was a real pain in the ass to try to get a hold of Coinbase. And they had an automated voice system that if you've been hacked or your account's been compromised, press 1 and leave the following information. And it was the phone number is hard to find and everything. So I did that and basically froze my Coinbase account. Now at the time, Bitcoin was around 17,000, and it had been moving up from like 12, 15 to 17. So it was the very early stages of that big run up. And what I suspect happened through a series of events was that somehow the customer database at either Coinbase, customer database at Coinbase had been compromised somehow. And I don't think passwords were revealed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have changed the password. But certainly, phone numbers and email addresses must have been compromised because they knew exactly who to attack. And in the course of my several conversations with Comcast's security department, every time you call in, you get a different person. They reveal a little more that the other person didn't reveal. Come to find out, about 200 other customers had similarly been hacked, all within a 2-day period. So that's what led me to believe that somebody was using a shopping list. They would give a shopping list to Ivan or whoever, Jitendra or whoever you want to assign that to. Then another, um, you know, hey buddy, you've got all the Comcast accounts, you've got all the Yahoo accounts, you've got all the Gmail accounts, kind of thing. And they probably, were trying to get into Coinbase and see what they could steal. So in the process of restoring my Coinbase account, which was less difficult than restoring my Comcast account, one of the questions that Coinbase asks is, have you taken steps, or you have to confirm that you've locked your phone number to prevent SIM attacks, SIM hacks. And at that time, I had no idea what that was, so I Googled it and found out what it was. And come to find out that on the Verizon Wireless, you can go into security settings and lock your number. Now, what makes me a little uncomfortable with that is that if somebody else were to hack into the account, they could just go in and unlock the number. But I think now the unlocking may have required interacting with an operator or a human, but I'm not certain. So I changed carriers to one that does not allow you to do online changes like that. You can't add a phone or change a phone online. You actually have to go into the store and say, hey, I want to change my phone. And that way, they would request you provide identification and stuff like that. So that was kind of the experience I had. And and I'll add one more thing. If your identity ever, if you get hacked like that, or your identity ever gets stolen, I actually put together a checklist once a while back in the Telegram that said, hey, here are the steps you need to take. Step one is report it to after you lock everything down and notify whoever, whatever accounts might have been compromised, you notify the police. Now there's nothing they're going to be able to do other than give you a case number. And that case number kind of establishes date and time of the event. And that's important if later on you run into problems with identity theft, or if somebody gets into your email and sends the President of the United States or an elected official a threatening message, which is a felony. You can say, hey, my email was compromised, if it ever came to that. And in this day and age, who knows? But so that then there's a identitytheft.gov. I believe that's a website where you can report the event. And what that does is, again, it establishes date and time and authenticity to your claim that you've been hacked. And then, of course, you want to notify, like I said, all the credit banks and credit cards. And then you can probably go into one of these credit sites and put a lock or freeze on your account from anyone trying to add a credit card or something like that. So there's a number of steps. And what I will try to do is, identitytheft.gov that George has put up there, we'll have a good checklist of everything you need to do. And it's really, really important to follow that checklist. As I said, chances are if you lost something, you may not ever recover it or anything. But what this does, it protects you from any further nefarious activity that might be associated with your identity. So
yeah. Okay. Well, so what we're gonna, yeah. So hopefully
that was it.
No one. That was enough to kind of, that's, I have never had it, but I know people have, and I never want to get in that point in time where I have to deal with this, because it's just a pain in the butt. So I'm going to go over just some quick things to think about, because part of it is, I can throw a lot of information out there. Bill can throw some information out there, but you guys have to act on it. And some people, I throw it out and they're like, yeah, it's not going to happen to me. I'm okay. Like that's fine. Whatever works for everybody. But there is a theme, and it's funny that someone had their SIM swap attack, because the theme that I've been working on for the last couple of months, that I've been thinking about, that I've been noodling, is how can we make it virtually impossible for your identity to get hacked? And one of the ways that I have found is simple swap. That is the starting point, and this is the foundation for really keeping yourself private. Because here's the thing, and I've a couple people have emailed in and said, "Hey, I like your simple swap video. How can we do this?" I'm like, "Well,
It
there's
takes simple login,
the
George.
video." Oh, oh
Well,
no, I'm
simple
not logging
login.
in. Oh, so did I say simple
No,
swap?
no, no. You did.
Yeah.
You did, and people are scratching their heads.
I like simple what? Because I'm a simple guy.
Yeah.
But simple login, it's complex. How you put DNS in, how you hold DNS, going to Orange website to create a domain. You know what? If you want to do it, sign up for some time, or you're going to have to do these steps by step. A lot of people, I mean, most of the people that, in fact, all the people that I work with on a weekly basis are high net worth people, and they don't necessarily want to learn, they just want to be protected. And as part of this, it's really funny, I have someone who said, George, this is great because what we've been working on for the last year and a half, 2 years is working. This person was trying to go to a trying to see a professional person. Well, I just wanted to leave it as anonymous as possible. And this professional person always does a background check on who their new clients are. And they came back to my client and said, I can't find anything on you on the web. I have some concerns. And he laughed. And so he told me this when we met. And I said, look, have this person, this professional, call me or look at my website and say, this is what I do for people. So, he saw that it worked. And part of that was, this person has simple login, has their own domain, has join delete me now, or whatever that is. You can find it under the founders page. And so he's slowly moving off the net. And why I think simple login is so important is, if someone is trying to hack you and there's no mailbox to break in to, because simple login is not a mailbox, it's a mail forwarding, and someone doesn't know your main mailbox, they're going to be trying to log in or get a lost password to a mailbox that doesn't even exist, so that there's no way that your mail can be hacked into, because a mailbox doesn't exist. It just forwards on to another mailbox. So I wish for myself, I would have had this before I ordered my first ledger, because I know I'm part of that ledger data breach, so that they have, my phone number, which I'll never give away again. They have my email address, which I will never give away again. So this is one way to put up barriers so that I think I'm fairly safe, because they look at my email address and they say it's not AOL, it's not Yahoo, it's not a way or using a service that I know the how to get a lost password. That, most of the time it's a phone, it's this, that, or the other. And so a hacker will look at an email address and say, okay, this person's vulnerable. I know how to do Gmail. I know how to do Yahoo. I know how to do Comcast. I mean, blah, blah, blah. So that is the first step. The second step is, get a second phone number that may be tied to a second phone, or with Mint Mobile now, they have eSIMs. So you can have a second phone number that's not tied to you and that's not tied to your logins, or you move everything from your exposed, personal number, and you move everything over that, is important to you, like Caleb Brown and your bank and that type of thing, so that no one has the new phone number associated with your account, that they just hit this dead end, because they know the SIM swap attack usually happens in the middle of the night, so that you're asleep, and when you get a text message, you don't pay attention to it until the morning. And then in the morning, they may have had 8 hours to continue that attack. So it's really important to set these things up now instead of later, because you know hiding your identity on the internet. I've been almost 2 years, and there's still places that I show up, and it's my first real like woohoo. I'm kind of hidden a little bit was after 9 months because it's not an instant thing. Um, so it is a real process, and it's not just a quick fix. There's never going to be a quick fix. Um, so I think we've kind of covered a little bit of the identity theft, but as part of this, there are ways that people can gain access to your information. And I'm just going to kind of go down this, and then we can kind of go back for questions. But I put out this video in the Telegram channel for the Crypto Lab. It is tech only. We don't really talk about anything else except for tech questions. And I was surprised. I knew the man in the middle attack was there. I thought that you might be able to do one thing as compared to another, but this guy shows you how man in the middle attack can basically put it, not install a keylogger, but a keylogger is already installed on your computer. It's a compromise that he had, that he typed in an application that was not a web browser, that was not web-based at all, and he grabbed all that information, which then goes down the road of anything that is, if you're caught in a man in the middle attack, this man in the middle attack can capture. But if you copy and paste, kind of like from a password manager, they don't get that information. So that's another reason why having one of the tools of a password manager is important, because your information can't necessarily be compromised because you're doing a copy paste, which is a different command than typing in, which also brings the fact that having a credit card number that you don't type in, or CVV number, or things like that, where things are just automatically filled in, which you can do with LastPass and other password managers, to kind of really protect you from some of these nefarious people. Basically, what I will put this URL down when I post this. It's well worth 15 minutes. And what it comes down to is that I will never use another public network again unless I have certain things in place. Those certain things in place I'm working on to get the information out, but it has to do with GLINet, it has to do with a pie hole, it has to do with a lot of things. And one of the last statements this guy makes is, doesn't matter if you have a VPN, I've already got you. So it's the other reason why I've been pushing off the VPN class, because so many people think the VPN is like the perfect thing. It's going to protect me. It's not going to protect you. It's just going to make you appear like you're someplace else. So with that, let me just show you, like, this is what I have. This is what I travel with. And Bill, there's something that I learned on this, because it happened to me and I was like, what is going on? My MiFi, which if you are a Verizon customer and you have friends and family, you can get like for $8 a month for 15 gigs. I kind of ran over because it was summer, and so I think I'm paying $17 for 50 gigs. $17 is nothing as compared to going with LifeLock, or another provider like that. So, I know they're different things, but if you put some pieces in front of you so that you're not compromised, you'll enjoy life a lot better, because you'll never have to go through the issues that some people are. But it's interesting, this MiFi, which is a wireless hot point, or hotspot for using, in this case, it's Verizon network. They have it for T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever. But because this has a phone number, you can have text messages sent to this. Last time I booted it up, I looked and it said you have a text message, and most of the time it's been from Verizon saying you've run over your minutes. In this case, it was a spam a text message that said, you know, something totally inappropriate. But my thinking was, oh, I can use this device for things that I just need a text message sent to, but I don't want someone to call me. I don't want someone to use this as a spam spot. You know, they can, but it's just a message that I delete when I see it. But if you are authenticating and you have 2FA that you need to, and you don't necessarily want to use your phone, and hopefully they would never call, those type of scenarios, or a scenario like I could have used this for Signal, I could have used this for WhatsApp, where WhatsApp, uh, don't even get me started with Facebook on what they've done to people, sharing their information, private conversations with the FBI without a warrant. Um, but this is one way that you can have a SMS authenticator without having to have a phone. And so, you know, it's that's just something to think about. So I think we beat this dead horse a little bit. People can ask questions. Do you want to add anything before we kind of move on?
Yeah, yeah, it's got a couple more breaths of life in it. So let's kick this horse. So the other thing I forgot to mention when I got hacked, I'm convinced at this point it was an inside job, and that's kind of important to know because you can have all the antivirus, all these precautions, everything, and still there's a risk uh, of being hacked. And that's not to discourage everyone, but just for awareness. The reason I think it was an inside job is in the course of my conversations with Comcast and their security department, I come to discover that the type of action, which was actually transferring my user ID to a different account and the email and everything with it, um, was not something that your normal operator could do, a normal support person could do. This had to have been somebody with admin privileges, and according to a couple of the security folks said, yeah, when we do something like, first of all, we don't do it to a different name. We can, um, if it's a family member you're transferring to or whatever, they can do that. But to a completely different person, unrelated, I was told they would never transfer your user ID. And even if they do, it takes several layers of management review and approval. When I got hacked, it all happened around 11 p.m. Middle of the night on a weekday when people are likely to be asleep. So just again, that's why it's important to change those passwords on a regular basis and to be aware of your accounts. And if there's an account you haven't logged into in a while, you might want to check, see if it still works. Get notified whenever there's a change to any of your accounts if possible. So
Yeah.
yeah, the inside job thing that's kind of hard to protect against.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And we both kind of agreed that it was an inside job. And that's why it's like we never want to get to that point where you're cleaning up the mess. You want to do as much as you can before that. And someone is asking, because here's a question that says, the second phone number is so our original number does not link back to us. Um, and that's from Gabriel. Yes and no. Um, it's not, it has two purposes. One, that it doesn't link back to you, and that's great. I like, um, oh, let's see, sharing. Hold on, I have to see what's there. I like Mint Mobile. I have a SIM from Mint Mobile. I have an eSIM. I have two phone numbers on my work line. They're designed for different things, but yeah, it's so that your compromised number, whether it be from the ledger hack or tied to you through, if you search your phone number on Google, does it come back to who you are? Pretty easy. So there can be a reverse search also. Um, so that if your bank account, if your Caleb Brown in exchange, anything of value, you can have this new Mint Mobile that doesn't have to be your name. It's not my name. And that's what I will give. I haven't given it to Caleb and Brown yet, but that's where I will start to have my important numbers go back to, so that if someone discovers who I am, they may discover my personal cell phone, but they don't have the cell phone number that's tied to all my important accounts. Because I'm going to beat the dead horse a little bit further. One of the things that I think is really important on getting around this is that, number one, like Bill said, lock down your phone number at your provider. Tell them you have a cyber stalker. It is very interesting when I have a conversation with different companies and I say I have a cyber stalker, their tone changes and I get many more yeses than no. And I do. So I'm not lying. Um, you know, get a second phone number that isn't necessarily tied to who you are, but it ties down your important accounts. Uh, and I would say the other part, and this has a little bit to do with simple login, as well as changing your email provider. The main email providers, number one, if you're not paying for your email provider, your data is being harvested. No matter what they say, they are not telling you the truth, because look at what happened. And I'm not going to bring up the article, but Facebook was found to have, well, this is allegedly, um, any private conversations that were going between two people that were anti whatever the establishment at that point wanted, which is our current one, that information was being harvested, sent to the FBI. The FBI was then going back and getting a subpoena for those people so that they could dig even further. Do you trust companies like that? Heck no. And I haven't had Facebook in a long time. I don't have Instagram. I don't have WhatsApp. Well, I kind of have to use it for one thing. I don't have TikTok. If you want to participate in those apps, you know, just be aware that what you have is not private. They may say it is, but they have lied so many times that I cannot believe any words that come out of their mouth anymore. Um, so yeah, uh, look for a different email provider and kind of go from there. Okay, maybe that horse was beaten to death. Okay, and Rose says that they have no audio, so you guys can hear me, can't you?
I can
Okay,
hear you.
yep, there we go. Okay, perfect.
Well, that
So so let's go down some of these questions. Yeah, if you want the link to Mint Mobile, just go to the .io site, type in Mint Mobile. You'll see Join Delete Me. You'll see other things that I think are important to start the process now. Start it now, um, and then work on it slowly. Don't start it after the fact, because then it's just a lot of work that honestly, if you start the work now or have started the work, you can put the time and energy into cleaning things up and setting them into place instead of cleaning up the mess that someone set for you when they did a hack. So it's well worth cleaning up early than having to deal with the garbage after. It is important that everybody know, all everybody, then, and hopefully some people will hear this after, that when September ends, Jed and I will come and do these, and we don't, it's not necessarily tied to the .io site. I will post things on Black Lab. I have not set that up just because I haven't had time. Feel free to, join the Crypto Lab Telegram channel. I will post things there, but a membership in the .io site does not, or not having, if you decide not to move forward, not having a membership in the .io site does not eliminate you from Saturday Tech Only live streams, because the more the merrier. I love for people to be secure, and so it's not. I'm not making you money. I'm just making you have more free time so that you don't get hacked. And so just know that this stuff will be available all the time. I am posting it on YouTube on the Bitcoin Academy channel. I don't have a channel because I don't want one. Um, but so it will be available there. I know some people have said, ha ha, I see things that are being posted on the Bitcoin Academy, and they're trying to get promotion for signing up for the bitcoinacademy.io, and that's not my intention at all. My intention is to give as much information out there so that people can be safe, secure, and as anonymous as they can. And there we have it. Let's see. Remo says, "Good morning, lads. Thanks so much for continuing to do the tech only. It's been an amazing addition." Yep, I have fun doing this, so I don't mind doing it at all. I learn a lot, and what it also does is, it forces me to get ready to actually bring some content to you guys that is worthwhile. And a lot of the content I use myself, and I forget after, using it on Tuesday that it's important to share it with people, because I could do a lot of postings on the .io site, but it's not tech um, only, and it's a lot of people just don't care, and it's okay. If people care, then they care, and if not, then they don't. I'm not worried. Mark says, "Good morning, all." And Desiree, yes. George, will you be offering the monthly subscription for this type of information even after Jay is out of crypto? Moving forward, people need to find trust in technologists. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and keeping us informed. Yes, I'm not ready to retire. I'm way too young to retire, so I will continue to do this stuff. In fact, I'm waiting to have a little bit more time to go down some fun other roads, because I tried to get a video out about GLINet, which we're going to try to do next weekend or the weekend after. Just depends on people's availability. But it takes a while to do some really good research to bring some good ideas, because I've been using the GLI net for a while. I know Jetta has, and it will help in the future for protecting you. But that's not ready
Hey,
yet.
George,
And yep.
do you want to pull that up and show people what the GLINet is? I don't know if
Yeah.
you mentioned it before.
Yeah, let me do this.
Um,
Yeah, because that's what I
because
I
we
forget sometimes. Yeah.
because we have both discovered some unexpected benefits with using this device. Because I know with my service provider, which is Xfinity Comcast, they have network extenders, these little boxes you plug in that's supposed to amplify your Wi-Fi signal. But I have found, I think George has too, that this little device, I think they're about $40 or so on Amazon, um, goes well beyond the extender capabilities of these little extender boxes that you can buy through your ISP, as well as giving you all of the benefits of that George will get into in that next video, of setting up, kind of an independent router to add further protection.
Yeah.
You can use use it as a VPN, and a lot of good things, especially when you're traveling.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, just playing with this, like one of the things that I discovered, I actually went out and bought the 1800 because I recommended it for a client that was traveling. And I was like, oh, they have a new one, so I'm going to go ahead and try that. Uh, the video that I am working on, I think about halfway through, I've already finished one I'm going to have published in the uh, Crypto Lab security, cybersecurity class. That's the how-to. That stuff I won't necessarily publish here because people have paid for that, and that's part of some of the stuff that I've promised. So I will give you the ideas how to get it done. You could easily, I don't know, maybe easily find it on YouTube, that type of thing. But I'm trying to wrap this up as a package of, okay, Simple Swap will protect your email. GLINet will give you the ability to have your own secure network tied to the MiFi, which will give you internet access, and you won't have to worry about a man-in-the-middle attack wherever you go, because in the back of the GLI net, you'll see that there's 2 ports, and those 2 ports I'm going to put a pie hole on so that I control my DNS. So it's like this big piece, this bigger piece that I'm putting together for everybody. And so, yes, I will introduce everything out on this side. Some of the real technical stuff is going to be behind the paywall on that. But yeah, I've found this really valuable. And this was brought to us. Oh, I don't have my cell phone. He doesn't necessarily want to be named. One thing that I know, and I don't remember his name, but he's going to be joining us on the call. He introduced this to me because I was looking at uh, not Unisys, um, uh, some of the other like Netgear and others that are your standard stuff, and they just didn't work the same way that this did. They were set in their ways, but this is yeah, we'll go in a little bit. The GLI net uses an open standard, an open firmware standard, so it's transparent on what it does, and it just honestly it rocks. I've been playing with it this week, and you can throw a VPN on it, so you can have instant VPN, but it's really a way to protect yourself from the elements out there if it is not your environment. If it's your environment, then it's okay. I have one of these that I put out way back at the back of my yard in a shed that we have, and it is extending my network. And I've learned a few things about the network side of things while doing it. Okay. Let's see. Yes, that was perfect, loud and clear. Okay. The other thing, would anybody like to come and talk with us here? Please just let us know in the questions. And we've run out of questions, so we can kind of go down any rabbit hole if anybody wants a particular topic that we can go down. But what I'm going to try to do is when the GLI net video comes out, kind of give you an introductory of what the product is, why you might want to use it, and then have a live stream with people that can ask questions about it, and kind of go from there. So that's what that is. So there's not many questions. Let's go on to talking a little bit about iOS 16. Bill, you installed that, didn't you? I have yet to install that.
Yeah, I went ahead and I put it on my I got what, an iPhone 13 or something like that. I went ahead and installed it. Now, in the Telegram, someone had mentioned that they had heard, and I thought they had experience, but they had heard that upgrading to iOS 16 would wipe out their Google Authenticator list. I mean, it would, because they reinstall all the apps, all the saved information would be wiped out. Well, it wasn't for me. Okay, I went with just the standard upgrade. And interestingly, when I went and checked my software upgrade status in settings, I had 2 options available to update to 15.7 or upgrade to 16.0. And so I went ahead and did it, but I took the time for all my important accounts to move from Google Authenticator over to LastPass Authenticator. And whatever worked for Google Authenticator worked for LastPass Authenticator. The only one that I couldn't do that with was, I think Gemini has a 2FA if you have a Gemini account, and they
Yeah.
kind of lock you into Authy, AUTHY. But anyhow, I have several authenticators, and my bank uses the Norton VIP authenticator, and they don't give you a chance to use a different one. So so other than those, but everything moved over. Everything, well, not moved over. Everything remained in place. So um, yeah, I had no problem with that part. Now, the article that I had forwarded from OSX Daily, which is a great little site if you're an Apple geek. Um, they have a lot of technical stuff, a lot of information early on, and they posted that article there that said, "Hey, some people are complaining after the upgrade that their batteries just died out," and it seems like um, in the explanation that that is a temporary condition because apparently after you do an upgrade like this versus an update, all of the data sets in the background have to be regenerated with the new apps and the new operating system level and everything. So apparently, it's a temporary situation. And last night I had left my phone unplugged off the charger, and it didn't go down. It went down minimal amount. So I think all of my updates had been completed. So I'm not experiencing that on this iPhone 13. Let's see, did I do an upgrade? I have an older, let's see, a 12, and I never trade them in. I always keep the other one because somebody's definitely in my family is going to lose or step on or leave it on top of the car and have it run over by heavy traffic. So I always have a spare phone. And in this
Yeah.
case, it kind of worked out because if this had not had worked, at least I had a backup phone that I could still access those authenticator programs from. So, oh no, I have not updated it. I updated it to 15.7. I did not upgrade it or update it, whatever, to 16.0 on this iPhone 12 I have. But
Yeah, that's right. Because I did the 15.7, but I did not do 16. And I'm going to let you take this next question, because I might have heard it from you or not. But someone asks, I love hearing all the examples that you guys have to do with privacy. Hey, George, I know you have mentioned in the past video why you preferred an iPhone. Bill, can you comment about that at all? And if not, I
well,
understand. I
yeah.
do not want to put you on the spot. I do not want to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. I don't mind. I worked for a three-letter agency at one point for about 12 years as a direct employee and have been a contractor prior to that. So this three-letter agency is always very concerned about its security of its mobile devices. And however, the crazy thing is they had issued the BlackBerry from RIM, whatever they're called now. Everyone had a BlackBerry that needed one, or if you were, that needed one for whatever reason. So the problem was some of the employees worked in areas where they didn't want people to know they worked for the government. Just call that undercover. And it kind of was a giveaway if they pulled out a BlackBerry when everyone else was using Android and iPhones and stuff. So, the geniuses at the organization said, hey, maybe we ought to issue them, devices that don't give them away as being covered. Because at that time, I think only government people had Blackberries or corporate executives that didn't know how to, use anything other than email. And so anyhow, I was put in charge of a project to identify the replacement for this device. So and at the time, Motorola had the Razor, and
Yeah.
and I think Google had actually acquired that part of the Motorola business. So they were really pushing the Android, I forget what version, Android operating system, and they had the iPhone. And so I did a kind of a research and study and compared the two devices and come to the conclusion that the iPhone was by far more secure because at that time, the iPhone had its encryption, its I guess the public key portion of its encryption burned into the firmware on the motherboard in the phone. So it was a hardware encryption. basically. Whereas all the Android phones, because Android was open source operating system and had to be adjustable or configurable to different hardware back platform. You had Samsung, you had Motorola, you had a number of different manufacturers. So it was less secure because its encryption was based on software. It was software based. So encryption only occurred after the phone booted. Well, this organization I work for was also very capable of hacking into stuff, and so it was no problem for them to break into an Android-based phone. Now this is going back 10 years, a good 10 years ago. So, but they absolutely hated iPhones because there was no way, they had not at that time figured out how to get into an iPhone if it was collected as evidence. And even the director of this organization once came out strongly against, what was his name, Comey something, but came out strongly against the iPhone. He came out against the iPhone and Apple because they weren't cooperating with this investigation because of some terrorist attack out in California. So meanwhile, guess what he carried? It was not an Android phone, as a matter, and any people, any of the employees operating overseas could not have Android phones. They had to have iPhones because if you dropped it or it got taken by a state actor, even you could, the Android-based phones would, there was no protection, but the iPhone was very secure. It was more secure, as a matter of fact, than the BlackBerry, which had been the gold standard for so many years. So, as a long, I'm chewing up time here, but that's basically why, in spite of all the criticism of Apple and iPhone, that's what I stick with, because
Yeah.
I think it's still more secure.
Yeah. And as part of that, and one of the reasons why, thank you, Bill, for that, because I got to hear a little bit more, which was kind of fun too. The one reason why I have not upgraded my phone to the 16 is I was waiting for them to release what kind of security mechanism they were going to have in place, because there was Pegasus. Was it Pegasus out of Israel? It's a hack on your iPhone that you didn't even have to click on a text message anymore. It was kind of a backdoor that they were able to hack into your iPhone. And they, we don't want that. So Apple came out with a security feature on 16, which was basically lockdown mode, which would stop that from happening, but it doesn't go far enough for me. I'm not necessarily worried about someone going directly after my phone remotely. I'm worried about going through TSA or just having like your ex-friends have visited so many lately asking for their phones, including senators and other people that they have no right to have that data. I'm going to give, not that they're ever, I really don't think that they're going to come knocking at my door, but that there could be other places when I'm passing through security checkpoints in the US or in other countries, we have no rights in those little spots. They can demand whatever they want, and we have to say yes, or we can't pass, or we kind of get stuck in the middle. So one of the things that I'm going to do is lock down my iPhone, which Android doesn't even have a solution for this. There's no way. They have left it completely open, but Apple has the ability. If you've ever worked for a company that issued you hardware, well, I'm going to use the Apple as this hardware. Apple has the ability to lock things down so that if you're an employee and you don't have the full admin privileges, you can't do anything to your phone or your laptop. And that's what I'm going to turn on for myself, so that if someone says, hey, I need the data off your phone, I will say no, and I will resist. And then when they say you have no choice, um, if they take it, they can connect a cable to it. They can do whatever they want, but the data will be encrypted, and there will be one key that will allow that um, to be modified or read. And because because Bill and I talk about these things all the time, if they require a password, I don't have to give a password, because that's self-incrimination. Not that I even would have the password with me, but I will have it potentially someplace. And if they can't get it off themselves, then they're kind of stuck. And I would rather have them be stuck and threaten me. But I know my rights that we have right now kind of hasn't changed that I know of, but we don't have to self-incriminate ourselves by giving passwords out. Um, if someone grabbed my phone and they shoved it in my face and I had not turned off my facial recognition, um, is that consent? I don't know, but they still have the data. So, I'm going that extra step. It's not going to be that easy, because according to, I like her, by the way, Naomi Brockwell. She does some great stuff, and I listen to a lot of what she has to say. But she had an interview, and I will be following the steps to lock my phone down. But it does require everything to be wiped and start from scratch. And it also will not, I can't take a backup that I've ever had and restore it, because that will nullify what I just tried to do. So it's a big commitment, and I've been waiting for a new phone to do that. So I suggest, if you'd like to, if you're getting a new phone, think about really kind of locking it down. I will be talking about that later on, but that's probably one of the most technical pieces to do on this. Um, and yeah, so locking your phone down is going to be important. And we're going to go back to the questions. AE says, are there clear advantages to using one authenticator over another, or does it not matter as long as you use one? For example, I use LastPass for my passwords, but I use Google Authenticator. And then I also use LastPass Authenticator as an additional security for my LastPass. Uh, Google Authenticator, LastPass Authenticator, doesn't really matter what you feel comfortable with, but the advantage of having LastPass Authenticator is that your LastPass Authenticator backs up to LastPass. So if you ever lost your phone or it died and you had Google Authenticator on it, you're going to have to contact each and every company that has your Google Auth and say, I lost my phone, and you're going to have to go through the steps that they require to remove it. And I know some of them, it's days or weeks that they require you to wait, so that it's not a real hack. And I don't know how many I have now. Let me see if I can pull it up. But my authenticator, I have well over, yeah, I've lost count. I have a lot of them. And so as I add things, it just adds more time that I would need to get off Google and go on to another one. I know the latest version, well, I can't say the latest version, but I know a version after I left Google Authenticator allowed you to transfer, I think it was 12 different Google Auths from one phone to another using a QR code and that type of thing, which is great when you're upgrading if you still have your phone. But if you lose your phone, you really don't have that option to transfer over, because there's nothing to transfer, because it's gone. And I know it's not fun to go in and have to contact everybody to have that removed.
Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
say you can't do that. You can transfer, and what Google Authenticator does, or last time I did it, was after transfer, it says, do you want to remove it from, the original device? And I've said no in this case, because like I said, I have two phones that are kind of images of each other
Yeah.
as a backup. But you're right. It's the amazing thing with LastPass is if I put LastPass on two devices and I update one, it's within minutes. The other one's updated automatically.
Yeah. And if you can have your 2FA or I can't say 2FA anymore because it used to be two-factor authentication. Now it's
Yeah.
MFA, multi-factor authentication, because in my environment,
Oh. I
I
always thought
have.
MF stood for something else. Okay.
Do you want $1 to go into that tip jar? Because my son is
I
looking
didn't
for
say it.
buying more Legos. um,
I did not
the
say it.
the in my life, the first thing that I would want to protect my passwords, my whatever, is my YubiKey, and because my YubiKey can now be unlocking things on my iPhone through uh, NF near field, it's NF something, NFC, where you just touch if you have something that's NFC compatible, I think that's the acronym, you can put the YubiKey on the top of your iPhone and it will read it. And so you can secure your LastPass, not just with a LastPass authenticator that reads out on the phone, you can have a piece of hardware that secures it. So my LastPass, because I rely on it so much, is protected um, by a piece of hardware all the time. Now I have four, I think, no, I have three YubiKeys that will unlock it. So they're kind of, I have redundancy just in case, because I don't ever want to get stuck losing that information. Um, I am going to go up. Well, I'm going to do this one down here, and then we're going to go up that is kind of really crypto related. Well, they're both crypto related. So we'll do AEs first, and it says this is going to sound crypto related, but I'm still hoping you can help. Months back, you showed us how to grab coins off uh, drip drops.io. Now the Cardano shows up on Ledger Live. Most of those claimed coins are showing up with a dollar value. Does that mean that they can be liquidated on an exchange somewhere, or are they likely still in a position to be liquidated, or should you just be going to coin market and figure out that way? Thanks for your help. I will tell you what's going on, AE, with Ledger Live and the Cardano um, valuations. They've got to figure this out. But if you look at um, the coins that you can claim from the Cardano blockchain, some of them are the same names as ERC20s or Avalanche or others, where I think there's some drip. And I looked, I'm like, wow, how did I get 1,000 drip? Well, I grabbed it off, but it's not the same coin. So I would not, and this kind of is a global thing for LastPass, or sorry, for Ledger Live. Ledger Live kind of gives you an idea of the valuation of a coin, but I wouldn't rely on it. This was a couple years ago, I had a client call and she said, I'm a trillionaire. Whoa, that's a big plane going over. I'm a trillionaire. And I was like, no, it's just that Ledger Live can't give you the correct value. Remember, they pull these coin values from a third party provider. I don't know how they do it. They won't let us know because, it'd be a security risk if we knew how that they pulled it. But don't believe the value of that. I would go and look in the Cardano blockchain, the Cardano swap area, for any type of valuation for this, because Ledger Live can be misleading at times. They can have a stuck valuation, which really blows it out of proportion. And that's what's happening with the Cardano blockchain. However, they are pulling the valuation. They're not saying that drip is on the ERC20 network or Avalanche or anything like that. They're just saying in global that it is. And so they're pulling that value into the Cardano value. And it's just wrong because it's not the same value whatsoever. So don't believe what they have to say. Down below we have, and this is from AJ, George and Jetta. Jetta helped me claim my eCash from BCH airdrop. Can you show us the website that I can view my tokens on Ledger wallets? Okay, AJ, you're going to have to define that a little bit more because it says, can you show us the website that I can view my tokens on the Ledger wallet? It depends on which tokens you want to look at. Are you talking about BCH, eCash, ERC20s, NEO? Um, so I don't know. Is there a website, Jetta, for eCash uh, besides, like I did it all through the Electron wallet or the Electro wallet, and I
Yeah,
did it that way.
I think, and I'd have to take a look. The um, Bitcoin Explorer that you might, Blockshare was one. I'm trying to think of what Block Cipher or it's been a while. One of the web-based explorers that are kind of generically, you plug in the address and it'll show you what coins are at that address. One of them actually will, in fact, give you the options. Which is it? Bitcoin Cash? Is it eCash? Is it Bitcoin? Because they all share the same. Generally, they all share the same address. Um, but as far as so you would do the you'd have to cut and paste each of the receive addresses for Bitcoin Cash that might be on your ledger and plug it into the Explorer to see the total number of eCash tokens you might have. To my knowledge, I have not seen that Ledger Live supports eCash, and I think there's a recent update, but I haven't looked um, as to whether they will display your eCash quantity. But like I said, you can find out. It's kind of a tedious approach, but using the addresses from your Bitcoin Cash wallet, plugging it into, let's see if I can find what would a, well, you can always Google eCash Explorer and see what comes up with regards to how to, if you really want to view how many you have. Um, Let me do this real quick.
I'm going to get that. There's Blockchair says have an eCash Explorer.
Yeah, yeah, blockchair.com, eCash. I guess it's slash eCash. I don't know. There's eCash Explorer. I don't know how well some of these work, but there's eCash Block. So yeah, just Google eCash Explorer and you'll have multiple Explorer um, websites that like I said, you plug in the address and it'll show you what you have. But keep in mind, Bitcoin uses and its derivatives use um, what do they call it? A changing receive address. So every transaction that you send to um, a Bitcoin wallet will generate a new receive, or when you go to receive, will generate a new receive address. And so there was something. Boy, I'm scratching my head. There's something called a public key
Yeah.
for what was that called, George? It's not like your general private and public key. It was a
Yeah, it's
general key
XPub.
that if you have that,
It yeah, is it the
XPub,
XPub?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, XPub versus XPriv, and I think if you had that, you could see everything. But otherwise, if it's individual addresses, it's one at a time. Now, if you used a wallet like Exodus, I don't think Exodus updated each time because I know I have a Litecoin address, which Litecoin uses the
Yeah.
same scheme that I've used forever. So once you use it, you can reuse them. But what it does is it kind of compromises any privacy you might have associated with that particular wallet if you reuse the same receive address every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, we do have does anybody want to come and chat with us? I know Tam Tam, you have your hand raised if you want to just let us know in the questions, and I'll see if we can get anybody that wants to just come and chit chat with us. Um, and while we're kind of doing that, let's see, get some questions. I'm going to just throw this out there because I know I've talked about it and no one's really seen it. And hopefully this won't compromise me. And this is what a pi hole looks like. And this is where, this is the one that's out on the net that anybody can use, but I use it as a backup, and I'm not going to be using it as a backup, but I'm going to use it as a third DNS provider. But it does block some things that we should not, that people just don't need to have. And you can see the top blocked domains. This one is like is a deep dive, but there have been, this is when I found in my network that, oh, we had Sandman too. Okay, I'll go really quickly on this and then we'll bring those people on. But this is how I found that my smart TV was talking to a company back in San Francisco, taking screenshots of what I was watching and sending it back to them. I would not have known that if I did not see some of the blocked domains that this does. I subscribe to a bunch of lists that are updated daily. Some of them are updated weekly, but it blocks certain things that people have found out that they just should not be gaining access to. Like Microsoft is always on here, Google's always on here, Amazon. And so I don't know what pedo.io is. Pendo, sorry. Pendo. So that's one that I'm going to have to look up. But I check this out every now and then, and I see what is going on in my network on these little devices that I might have all over the place. So, okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, Sandman, I'm going to try to bring you unmute. And Sandman, go ahead and see if you can connect your audio, and then we will bring you online. Okay, well, you're working on that. So,
How you doing?
oh, there we go. Hey, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, good. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you. I'm a little nervous, but thank you.
Don't be nervous. You know what? We're just like everybody else.
So one of the questions I had is my computer started having a lot of blue screens lately. It would just happen like twice a day now. Used to be everything was fine, but now it's I get these blue screen issues.
That, how old is your hardware?
It's about I want to say 5 to 7 years.
Um, that could be, and it also depends on what your who the manufacturer is. And I'll go down a little, I'll go down my experiences, and I'm not trying to sell up Apple. That's not my intention. But what has happened, what I've noticed when I used to be on the Windows side of things, and random vendors, is that there is a difference in quality on components. And Apple has a higher standard on those components than some other manufacturers. I know Dell has a higher, uh, they will put a little bit more, they will spend more on a component that is more reliable, more durable than other providers. And so what it could be, there's basically just two different options that you have. It's either something's wrong with the operating system that's throwing up that error, or it's the hardware. And anything honestly over 5 years old, um, I would tend to say it's time to upgrade, because we don't know, like, the money that you will spend replacing the logic board um, would be better spent on a new computer. And, you know, way back in the day when I first started, because I was at the bleeding edge of technology, you know, you would send in a logic board to be replaced. Now everything's disposable. So they don't do component level. I used to know, because I was in the Bay Area, I could send something to a component level repair place and they would repair the component and send it back. And I don't think those places exist anymore because everything's so cheap. That's what I am guessing. What operating system are you running with that?
Windows
Windows,
10.
Windows 10. And
Yeah,
who is the manufacturer of the hardware?
it's Dell.
It is Dell. Okay, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
because here's the thing, like I used to have way back in the day, I would have IBM laptops for the company that I was the technology director, and then it went to Toshiba, and then we got, you know, Dell and Mac stuff. And honestly, like I have never had an Apple product die on me. I've always had to get rid of it. The last one that I got rid of back in 2019, 2020 was a 2009 17-inch laptop, and it was just getting too old and slow, but it never really died. And so, you know, things do die, things do wear out, components go bad. So I'm guessing it could be that. If it's doing that more and more, it would be interesting to know if you know, one of the things that you could look at is when do you have it always on or is it off and on? Uh,
It's
uh,
always on. I've noticed that when I leave it on, it goes to sleep and wakes up. That's when the issues start. If I restart it, it usually doesn't have issues, but sometimes it does.
yeah, you know what I would do, just because this will help you understand where the issue might be. Turn it off, turn off the ability for it to go to sleep and just keep it going on all the time. Because what may be happening is that when the temperature differentiation happens, when you shut it down or it goes to sleep and then it comes back on, um, that hot, cold may be where the issue is, where when it's warm, everything stays consistent, but when it goes to sleep, the board cools down or a component cools down, and when it comes back on pretty quickly, that's when it might be able to freak out. So if you keep it on all the time, you know, you can turn off the monitor by hand, whatever. But see if you notice that there is a difference if it's just kept on all the time. If it's kept on all the time and you don't have this issue, then it's some component on some part of your computer that is having the issue, and you absolutely positively have to you know, get a new piece of hardware. And it
Is there,
could be. Mhm.
is there a way to actually set it up to turn off after like 5 hours of inactivity?
Oh, now say that, is there a way to not have it or to have it?
Instead of go to sleep, is there a way to have it shut down after inactivity?
I don't know if there's a, Bill, you may know this a little bit more than I would. I know in the, I'm not on Windows, so I don't know in front of me, but there is the hibernation, I know. It would be in the energy saving. The only thing is, and this is where they may not have a shutdown or they may, I don't know what it is anymore on Windows 10. Uh, if you have anything open, they don't necessarily like the idea of you having to lose something if you had like an open Excel spreadsheet and you walked away and you forgot about it. I would check in the energy side of things to see if there is a setting for shutdown. You would just have to have everything saved. And now there's multiple ways of saving. You know, you can save to the cloud, you can save every 5 minutes, you can save locally. And so that's where computing has got really complex on what the, you know, how
Yeah.
things are set up.
Yeah, well, another thing I want to bring up is regarding the two-factor authentication issues that people are having when transferring from one device or system to another. What I usually do is when I set up a code for, I don't know, Gemini, for example, they usually give you a QR code or a key underneath, or both.
Yep.
So what I do is I save that in a password protected encrypted file, and I put it offline on a USB drive. And I keep that in multiple locations in safes. So it's not on my computer, it's nowhere to be found, it's offline. And if I ever need a backup, I know where to find it.
Perfect. Yeah, that is what I used to do too. When I stumbled across looking through my encrypted drives, it's like, oh yeah, because you can do that, and that will work. Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
so
good idea. You just
go ahead.
let me. No, that's actually a very good idea to do that. I think I don't know if they let you print it out as well, but no, that's a good idea. Now, back to the blue screen of death issue. That could also be you might have some drivers that are outdated. I don't know if you've gone to the Dell website and tried to see if your particular computer has any firmware updates required or driver updates, because that's always typically one of those blue screen of death kind of events is determined by a driver.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm running Windows 11. Let me go see what
I
it
refuse to
is. And
my system for, I don't trust the newer systems. I just don't want to be at the edge of.
yeah, well, I've had 11 on for a while and it's been pretty stable. But I don't know if this helps or not, but on my Mac Mini, I don't know what it is I have, and I'm trying to figure out which application. But if I walk away and it goes to sleep, it won't wake up. A couple times I've had to actually do a cold boot, cold restart, where you force the power it down and bring it back up, and that's so annoying. And a Mac's not supposed to
Yeah,
do that. That's why you get a Mac, right? So
yeah. I had a Mac Mini do that, and it was actually my husband's, and he was like, "This is so annoying." And I don't remember what I did, but I resolved that issue because it would go to sleep and then come back on, or not come back on. And it would not, it would come back alive, but the monitor wouldn't work and it wouldn't connect to the monitor,
Right.
even though you saw. What the heck did I do? Because I still have that one, and it's actually down in the down where it is, and I have an edge node on it for Theta. But you know what? Let me throughout the day, it'll come to me. My indexing, there's a lot to index now, and my indexing is taking taking longer now than it used to. I think I need
and
an upgrade, but there are none available that I know of.
the processor is probably dated.
Oh, it is.
Um,
So
so
guys,
so that's a good, because
another thing I want to bring up
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
is the GLI net. Can that be used? For example, I got some family over in Europe, Romania, and I would love to connect through their IP to log into these exchanges. And at the same time, I'd like to use some kind of VPN. Is this GLI net going to allow me to do that?
Bill, maybe that's a really good question, because I know the GLI net has the ability to be a WireGuard client and a WireGuard server. Maybe what we should do is experiment to see if we can get through and connect via the WireGuard between our two GLI nets when we have some extra time. The reason why I think it could be a possibility, but it depends on the provider on that side of the ocean, is that I tried to set up a VPN server in my environment, even though I had it come through I opened a firewall port to do it on my end. it is my internet provider that is blocking the input because they don't want my network to be attacked, but I can connect to the same VPN connection through an app. And so if it's a WireGuard connection, I can't, but if it's the app that does it, I can. And the product that I use is, let me do this. I gotta open it. It's called Unify. It's a Unify switch, and that's where I connect the cameras, the wireless, and the core, basically routing. And I can have multiple networks. I can have multiple networks coming in that I will probably experiment next year when I can get satellite. That the GLI potentially could be, but potentially it could be also blocked by the provider. We'll see if
Yeah,
we can do that because there's no other way besides doing it, uh, you know, set it up in two different environments to see if it'll actually work. Because I did try to not necessarily attack my friend, but I wanted to see how far I could get into her network. And I could only get so far. My friend was on Comcast, and I just could not find a way in because they block it. I mean, it just makes most sense. Um, there are reasons why Comcast has restrictions that they will not tell you because they don't want you to know about it. And so, yeah, there may be a possibility that you could do it. Um, and that's what VPNs were originally designed for, was point to point, office to office, so that that data could remain secure. It just will be a little bit tricky going in their network and then out their network. And so that's where it gets a little bit complex on how you have to have that set up. But
yeah,
there,
yeah. I'd
it is
rather
a way.
not. I don't think taking over their computer remotely is an option because that's obviously not something I want to do. I just want to be able to use their IP to access the internet.
Yeah. Um, and so if you'd basically have to have a GLI net on your side of the world, GLI net on their side of the world, and create a VPN connection between those two. That's the first step. And then the second step is how you kind of route out into that. And it may be a little bit tricky if you stay on your network, but if you connect to the GLI net directly, and use their network for the network out, that could potentially work. It's very doable. Whether or not the ISP on their end will allow it, that's the biggie. Because in my environment that I used to be in, it was, colo space where where the servers were housed wasn't necessarily who gave you the internet access, and so it was much more laxed on being able to get in because it was setting your own firewall. But ISPs, have their own firewall, which will prevent you from externally entering in without certain parameters open for that. So yeah,
Yeah,
the answer is possibly.
possibly. I appreciate the help, guys, and I don't want to hog all the time. I was just going to ask, what do you think about the Microsoft Surface product? I bought one of those 2 years ago. It's my travel PC, and I've been using it. Uh, it seems to work just fine. I'm just concerned about the loopholes and all the security vulnerabilities.
Well,
Yeah,
I have a Surface Pro, as well as a MacBook Air. Uh, I think, I like the Surface Pro. It's nice, the touch screen and everything. And there's just some things you need to have Windows because the Mac version or whatever it might be um, doesn't work as well, and vice versa. What I in this whole realm of crypto and everything, I've said before, it's not a bad idea to have one of everything if you can do it. It's like having a ledger device, a Trezor device, a Windows machine, and an Apple machine, because you never know when well, I think we ran into this, George, last year sometime, where one of, I don't know if it was O3, one of the wallets wouldn't work with us. They went through an update, and on one operating
Oh,
system it stopped working, and on the other it
Treasure.
worked okay.
Yeah,
Trezor,
yeah,
yeah, Trezor. So you know, you don't want to be stuck trying to unload or sell your crypto or whatever, and realize that, uh-oh, you know, and it took Trezor how long? It took them several months to fix
yeah.
whatever was broken. So it was kind of like, oh well. And again, guys, remember, your 12 or 24 words, those seed words, are the wallet. And so if you pick a hardware wallet, or even though I don't recommend going software, but if you pick a hardware wallet, if you know, you can use your 12 words from your Trezor and reconfigure a Ledger Nano, and you'll have the same addressing and everything,
Yeah,
and vice versa.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
let me ask this while I'm still on, and you guys just kick me off anytime you're ready. There was recently a geometric equation developed to calculate an infinite number of constants, and one of the claims when they developed this thing was they said, well, that's the end of all encryption. If that's true, then how would that affect the private keys to all these crypto wallets?
Well, I think what you're getting, so the oh, what technology am I? I'm drawing a blank now.
I'm part of
I know
the
what you're.
yeah, I'm part of the Nassim Haramein school, whatever they call it, Unified Science uh, uh, Academy, and they discussed it over there. They kind of developed it. Not sure where it went. That was like 3 years ago, but not sure how far along the process they are right now. They tested it, and it seemed to work in figuring out all these constants apparently on which the encryptions are based.
So quantum computing is what I was, you know, trying to come up with. Apparently, you know,
Yeah,
it's not.
they're not doing quantum computing for this. They're just like using regular PCs to run the equation, and it seems to work.
I I don't think in really I don't think in our lifetime we have to worry about that. I could be totally wrong, but the generally the processing power and the time it takes to do a lot of these things does not make it practical to do. I mean, if you think of all the number of different wallets and address combinations and everything else, um, I'm sure they could hack, you know, might get lucky, but um, I don't think it's something. The resources required to do it probably exceed what most people have, you know, at their
Yeah,
home office right now.
Yeah, and the other is, I mean, I'm not necessarily worried about that in my lifetime, but it's way, way above my pay grade. We focus on what we focus on, but for something like that, they're going to go after state secrets well before they're going to go after individual crypto wallets. They're going to go after, you know, someone who has 10,000 Bitcoin in their wallet ever before they go after ours. So I don't think personally we have to worry about that, but I have not seen, I've heard talk about it, but I have not seen proof of concept where this is how it's going to work. I mean, we've heard about quantum computing for quite a while now, and it's still not there. And so, you know, there's the difference between talking about it and then actually having it. So theoretically, yes, um, but I think we're going to know if there is a crack before we have to worry about losing our coins. Because I'm just a little fish, like
yeah,
most of
yeah.
us.
Well, I
Uh,
appreciate that, guys. Just if you're interested, the video is called Resonance Talks. One is the Only Constant by Robert Edward Grant.
Okay. You know, if you can email that to me, because I don't have notes. But if you know, if you just drop that in a support ticket and that URL, then I'll know, and I can take a look at that.
Well, here, I can drop it in the chat right now if
Okay,
you're interested,
sure.
or in the questions.
Yeah, do it right into a question and I'll grab that URL. There we go. Okay, that's a lot.
I'm coming. Okay, let's go.
I know a voice like that too.
Guys, thank you so much for your help.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming
You're
on
welcome.
online and talking. I like that.
I'm glad to have broken the ice.
Uh-huh. Have a great day.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Okay, bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, and we have I like that. Thank you, Sandman. Mike F says Yubico auth has been great for me. I use it for backup with a separate password. I use the LastPass and Google Auth too. Yep, I think more the better. I don't have Google Auth and use LastPass auth. They're kind of one and the same for me, just because that's my preference. It's really, use what you want and feel comfortable with, and do your own thing, because that's just the way that it is. I don't always share what I do with everyone because I don't want everybody to know my path, and so keep some things private for yourself. There are no more questions. We'll wait just a couple more minutes, and I get to go see my son's grandma, actually my mom too, this afternoon. She had one of her knees replaced, so we have not been able to see her for a while. We thought we would go spend some time because he's very excited about getting away from me and going to see her. But that's what I guess, what you get when you're a dad at times. I think that I'll put that URL. So this video won't be out until later, late this afternoon, because I'm going to run away. But I thought I would just share this with you because I will be talking about Raspberry Pi. A Pi hole that used to run for me on a Raspberry Pi, but I can't get a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi used to be $35 when I would buy them and resell them. You'd have to do a lot of work in between, but I thought it was because they were being built over in China and there was supply chain issues over there. No, there's a factory in Wales that produces 500,000 Pi computers every month, and they're just being bought up. They're just since 2000, 2001, everybody's just wanted to get a little Raspberry Pi, and that's why it's virtually impossible to get one. And I've been waiting to talk about the Pi hole until the Raspberry Pi is plentiful, and that's just not going to be the case because you can only buy one a month if it's even for sale. So until they're plentiful, I've decided to go another path, and this is what I was playing with, and it's the same price as a Raspberry Pi on Amazon. So why not go with 4 gigs instead of 2 and a 128 gig eMMC drive instead of a little micro SD card. So I know that I'm just kind of geeking out on this because I did get a Ubuntu server put onto it this morning, and so I'm going to go play with that this weekend, next week, and then that will be part of some of the stuff that I'll be talking about. I think that's it. Jetta, Bill, whatever your name is. What do you want us to call you now?
Call me Jetta. Otherwise, people are going to get confused. They'll think there's 3 people in here, and there's not.
There's 3 people in your head. I know that, but
well, there's more than that.
Okay.
But,
well,
yeah, that's just easier for people to say, oh, okay, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
People
Okay,
I've helped probably know who I am anyhow, but anyhow. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Thank you everybody for joining us. I really like it, Bill, when Jetta, whatever when you're here because talking to myself is just not as fun when it's external as it is in my mind when I talk to myself. But we will be back in the next Saturday or so. Hopefully we'll get these on a regular basis and share some information, get your feedback on what you want to hear. I'd love to if you want to write in and say, hey, could you talk more about this? I have my agenda. I'd like to hear your agenda, what you want to know more about, because I'm going down a path, an OSINT path. You can kind of Google that. And I hope to share as much information on that in the next year or so as I can to keep us all private, safe, secure, and of course, having fun. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great Saturday and the rest of the weekend. And this is where I get to have my fun. Bill, Jetta, you get to have the last word.
Okay, well, everyone, be safe. Look before you leave, all that sort of stuff. But take care. Have a blessed day, everyone.